explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and, let's be honest, a truly bizarre corner of the internet. We're talking about a site that promises nothing less than the end of death itself.
You know how sometimes you just land on a web page and it feels less like a site and more like a secret you weren't supposed to find? You're hit with this wall of text that looks like code, but it reads like some kind of ritual, and it just leaves you with way more questions than answers. Yeah, this is that feeling. So, how do we even start to unpack this? Well, we're going to tackle it in 5 parts. First, we'll look at the online enigma itself. Then, the wild promises about curing death and cancer. We'll dig into the weird technology and rituals it proposes, map out its whole universe of websites, and finally, we'll find out the price of immortality.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about that initial impression when you land on Evelust.world. This is really where the whole mystery kicks off. Right off the bat, you're hit with this wild mix of styles. On the one hand, you've got this almost frantic, repetitive marketing vibe, but then on the other, you see these cryptic, almost ritualistic commands. Things like cut, copy, paste, save, seal. It feels less like code and more like an incantation. It's chaotic, it's confusing, but you kind of can't look away, right?
All right, so let's try to cut through all that noise for a second and get to the core of what they're actually claiming. And, get ready for this, because these are some of the boldest promises you can possibly make.
Here it is. Promise number 1, stated just like that, plain as day. Not extending life or fighting aging, nope, curing death.
And if that wasn't enough, they immediately follow it up with this one. A definitive cure for cancer, presented like it's already a done deal. So you see, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just about curing a disease here or there. They are promising a complete biological overhaul. We're talking about living for more than 800 years, literally getting younger, reversing menopause, even resetting over 100 of your body's organs. It's a complete rewrite of what it means to be human. Okay, so you're probably asking the same thing I was. How? How on earth do they claim they can do any of this? Well, their methods are a very strange mix of tech, code, and something that feels a lot like ritual.
It all comes down to this one central idea they call Advanced Genetic Synthesis Technology, or AGT for short. This is their secret sauce, the proprietary engine that supposedly powers everything and unlocks immortality. And this is where it gets really weird. To actually use this technology, you're told over and over again to perform this mandatory sequence. Look at the words: cut, copy, paste, enter, save, seal. They're all familiar computer terms, but they're framed here like a required, unchangeable ritual you have to perform.
And the language they use to explain it all? Wow, it's this super dense, kind of pseudo-scientific mashup. They talk about fighting cancer with a heart-brain nonce and mitochondrial sentinels, but then also with something called a love-think protocol. It's like they threw a tech manual and a New Age spiritual guide into a blender.
But here's where the rabbit hole gets even deeper. See, Evelust.world isn't just one website floating out there alone. Oh no, it's the hub of a much, much larger ecosystem.
Their ambition is way, way bigger. They come right out and say it. They are building a tomorrow's world order with the goal of controlling all areas of life. This isn't just about personal health anymore. This is about total control. And when they say all areas of life, they are not kidding. The scale of this whole thing is just mind-boggling. They've got dedicated sites for a one-world government, for law and order, their own cryptocurrency, even a site for future technology. It is a complete top-down blueprint for a new society. So, after all that, the promises of eternal life, the weird rituals, the new world order, what does it all boil down to? Well, it comes down to what it almost always comes down to: a transaction. Yep, underneath everything else, the main point of this whole elaborate setup is to sell you something, to get you to buy more life. And the price to get started? It's surprisingly low. Just $100 for 200 years added to your life. There it is, the value proposition, spelled out loud and clear. Now, that $100 is just the entry-level package. The pricing for the full AGT technology? Well, that's a different story. It's all tiered based on how much you're worth. $100 for ordinary people, $100,000 for millionaires, and a cool $1 million for billionaires.
And they give you a bunch of different ways to get on board. You can buy their books, you can invest in their crypto, you can literally go on eBay and purchase the AGT, or you can join their affiliated church for a discount.
So there you have it. We've kind of peeled back the layers on this thing. What starts out as this totally chaotic, nonsensical webpage actually reveals itself to be a whole structured system with these huge promises, a really bizarre methodology, a massive ecosystem, and a very, very clear price tag.
And all of this really leaves you with one big question, doesn't it? In a world where we're just drowning in information, how do you even begin to tell the difference between real technology, a deeply held belief system, and a really elaborate sales pitch? Especially when something comes along that seems to be all three at once.
Thanks for coming along on this pretty strange digital journey with us.